Hello everybody, welcome to my presentation. My name is Jamid and I'm going to be talking about a journal article that looks at how foreign service subsidiaries create and develop new knowledge. The paper is called Knowledge Intensive Business Services. Does Dual Embeddedness Matter? By Najafi Tamani, Giroud and Sinkovich. Why do services and KIPS matter? In most developed and many emerging economies, services now make up the largest share of GDP and employment, not manufacturing. Within services, knowledge-intensive business services like consulting, IT services, engineering, R&D, and advertising agencies play a special role. They advise and support other firms, help them adopt new technologies, and redesign their business models. In that sense, KIBs are like knowledge engines inside the economy. Because these firms work with clients in many countries, they are also key players in the international business. They move knowledge and practices from one country to another, which is why understanding how they learn and innovate is so important. What are knowledge intensive business services? KIBs are companies whose main product is knowledge. They don't ship a box or a machine, they sell expert advice, software solutions, research results, or creative ideas. Examples of such firms are McKinsey, Accenture, and big IT outsourcing companies, R&D service providers, and creative agencies. These firms usually deal with complex, customized problems. They often sit with clients, understand their specific needs, and then design a solution. Because of that, a lot of the knowledge they use and create is tacit. It lives in people's heads and in relationships, not just in manuals or databases. Many knowledge intensive business services operate internationally. They open offices in major cities around the world to be close to global clients and key industries. A consulting office in London or Toronto might serve local banks but also be a part of a global contract for a multinational client. These foreign offices or subsidiaries cannot just copy what the headquarters does. They need to learn about the local market, regulations, culture, business practices, while at the same time staying connected to the multinationals' global methods and tools. This tension between local and global is the core of the dual embeddedness idea. So, what does the word embeddedness mean here? For international business, the word embeddedness simply means how deeply a subsidiary is plugged into a network. If a subsidiary is strongly embedded, it has many relationships, regular contact, and mutual trust with other players. These connections can be external, like relationships with local clients, suppliers, universities, and government agencies in the host country. They can also be internal, like relationships with headquarters and with other subsidiaries inside the multinational. Being embedded usually helps a unit learn more, get early information about opportunities or problems, and coordinate better with others. Dual embeddedness means being rooted in two networks at the same time. On one side, the subsidiary is linked to the local network, its clients, partners, regulators, and the local talent pool in the host country. On the other side, it is linked to the internal network of the multinational, headquarters, and other sister subsidiaries in different countries. The challenge for the subsidiary is to balance both of them. It needs strong local relationships to understand and serve the host market, but it also needs internal connections so it can use the multinational's knowledge, tools, and reputation. The paper asks which of these types of embeddedness matters more for creating new knowledge. Research design. The authors study foreign subsidiaries in the UK that operate in knowledge intensive business services. Their parent companies are based outside the UK, so these are clearly MNCs or international firms. The main question of this paper is what drives knowledge development in these subsidiaries? More specifically, they look at three things: external embeddedness, internal embeddedness, and the subsidiary's level of autonomy. They define knowledge development as the subsidiary building marketing, service, and management know-how that is better than its competitors and even better than what the parent company already has. The idea here is to see which factors actually support this kind of learning inside foreign KIP subsidiaries. To test their ideas, the authors of the paper turn these concepts into survey questions. For external embeddedness, they ask managers how much the subsidiary and its local partners, clients, suppliers, universities adapt to each other and work closely over time. For embeddedness with headquarters, they ask how far the subsidiary's sales, distribution, and management practices are adjusted in line with and in cooperation with the parent company. For embeddedness with sister subsidiaries, they ask similar questions but about cooperation with other units in the group. For autonomy, they ask who has the final say over key decisions, launching new services, restructuring the subsidiary, and hiring or firing top managers. If the subsidiary has more control than the parent company, it has higher autonomy. The authors collected data through a survey sent to top managers, such as general managers or managing directors, of foreign CAPE subsidiaries in the UK. They ended up with 184 usable responses, which is a decent sample size for this type of analysis. The first and strongest result they got is that external embeddedness is the main driver of knowledge development. The statistical coefficient for external embeddedness is the largest and highly significant. This means that when a KIP subsidiary works intensively with local clients, suppliers, and other partners and adapts with them over time, it learns more and develops better know-how. Co-creating solutions, getting direct feedback, and being exposed to local problems push the subsidiary to innovate. So the local environment and the relationships in the environment are crucial for knowledge development. The second result was that being well embedded with headquarters also helps, but the effect is weaker than external embeddedness. This makes sense. Headquarters can share global best practices, frameworks, and tools. If the subsidiary is closely connected to headquarters, it can access these resources more easily. Autonomy is also positively related to knowledge development. When the subsidiary has decision power, it can experiment and adapt without waiting for permission from HQ. It can move faster when it sees a local opportunity or problem. So the ideal situation here is not total control by headquarters, but a mix of good headquarters support and enough local freedom to innovate. So the surprising result is that embeddedness with sister subsidiaries, other units inside the multinational, has no significant effect on knowledge development. In other words, subsidiaries that cooperate more with their siblings do not clearly develop more knowledge than those that do not. This suggests that, at least in this context, cross subsidiary knowledge transfer is limited. There are several reasons why sister subsidiaries might not be major sources of knowledge development. First, each unit is busy dealing with its own local clients, regulations, and competitive pressures. Managers may not have time to sit on long calls explaining their solutions to colleagues in other countries. Secondly, explaining local knowledge, for example, a solution heavily adapted to local regulations or cultures, is hard. It may not travel well, and the receiving unit might still need to rework it completely. Third, there may be some internal politics or competition. A subsidiary that has a strong local advantage may not be eager to share everything, because that knowledge is part of its bargaining power inside the multinational. So, managerial lessons. For managers, a clear lesson is that KIPS subsidiaries need to be strongly connected to their local environment. This means actively building relationships with local clients, universities, industry groups, and regulators, not just running projects from the office. At the same time, headquarters should allow these subsidiaries a decent level of autonomy. Too much control and red tape can slow them down and reduce their ability to innovate in response to local conditions. However, headquarters subsidiary ties are still important. Headquarters should share tools, frameworks, experience, and listen to learning from subsidiaries. What the study suggests is prioritize local awareness and autonomy, but keep a solid backbone of global coordination. So, how does this relate to international business? Even though this article is from around 2011 to 12, the core message is very relevant today, maybe even more. International business has moved strongly towards digital and knowledge based activities, such as cloud services, AI consulting, cybersecurity, and analytics. Gibbs firms are at the center of this shift. They help companies implement digital strategies, redesign processes, and adopt new technologies. To do that well, they must understand local regulations, customer behavior, and industry structures. But they also need to leverage global platforms and expertise. So the idea that KIPS subsidiaries need strong local awareness plus good internal ties is exactly what we see in modern digital consulting and IT service firms. Now let me connect this theory to a concrete, more recent example. Accenture is a large global professional services firm with hundreds of thousands of employees in over 200 cities worldwide. It offers consulting, digital technology, and operations services. In Canada, Accenture has a innovation hub in downtown Toronto. This hub is designed as a space where Accenture teams and client teams work together to design and test digital solutions. They focus on artificial intelligence, cloud migration, advanced analytics, and customer experience design, serving both Canadian and international clients. This hub is a good real world example of a KIPS subsidiary. that is both locally rooted and globally connected, which is exactly what the dual embeddedness theory talks about. The Toronto Innovation Hub of Accenture is strongly embedded in the local Canadian environment. Many of its key clients are Canadian banks, insurance companies, retailers, and public sector organizations. Teams from these clients come into the hub to co-design and test new solutions together with Accenture consultants and developers. The hub also draws on local universities and Toronto's broader tech ecosystem. Toronto has a strong AI and data science community, so the hub is well placed to recruit talent and stay close to new developments. All of this is a textbook example of external embeddedness, close, ongoing relationships with local actors where both sides adapt to each other over time. At the same time, the Toronto hub is not an isolated local firm. It is part of Accenture's global network of innovation centers and delivery centers. It can draw on methods, playbooks, experience, and reusable solutions developed in other countries. It can also bring in global experts virtually or in person whenever needed. This is internal embeddedness, strong ties to headquarters and to other parts of the multinational. The hub still needs autonomy though. It must be able to adjust these global methods to Canadian regulations, language, and customer expectations. It also needs freedom to pilot new ideas with local clients quickly. So, the Accenture Toronto hub illustrates the same pattern as the study: strong local embeddedness, meaningful headquarter links, and enough autonomy to innovate. To wrap up, there are three main points I want you to remember. Firstly, knowledge intensive business services are central to modern international businesses. They help firms adopt new technologies, redesign their organizations, and compete globally. Secondly, the research on dual embeddedness shows that foreign KIB subsidiaries develop the most knowledge when they are strongly embedded in their local environment, supported by solid but not suffocating connections to their headquarters. Local relationships and autonomy are especially powerful drivers of learning. Thirdly, the Accenture Innovation Hub in Toronto is a practical example that fits the theory. It is deeply involved with Canadian clients and the Toronto tech ecosystem, while still part of a global network with shared methods and expertise. Overall, the concept of dual embeddedness helps us understand how service multinationals can organize their subsidiaries to maximize learning and innovation in the international business world. Thank you for watching this presentation.